quiet street in Fort Pierce, Florida, hums with the usual morning rhythm. Birds chirp in the palm trees, cars hum by on the coastal road, and the sun climbs high over the horizon, casting golden rays across the modest homes. But inside a small, unassuming house on Bedford Drive, something is terribly wrong. A sheriff's deputy, Officer Marcus Daniels, steps out of his patrol car, his boots crunching on the gravel driveway, the sound sharp against the morning stillness. He adjusts his hat, glancing at the clipboard in his hand. A welfare check prompted by a school's worried call about a 6-year-old boy absent for over 2 weeks. The front door creaks open, revealing Rhonda Joyce Paulynice, a 41-year-old mother with tired eyes and a faint, unsettling smile. Her hands fidget with the hem of her hoodie, and she nods as Daniels asks, "Is Ra'myl okay?" She leads him inside, her footsteps echoing in the dim hallway. In a small bedroom, the air grows heavy. Wrapped in a blue blanket, little Ra'myl Pierre lies still, his small face pale and lifeless, the faint smell of decay hinting at days gone by. Daniel's radio crackles as he calls for backup, his voice tight with shock. "We've got a situation here. Send the team." Rhonda stands nearby, her expression shifting from calm to frantic. "God told me to do it," she says, her voice rising with a mix of reverence and despair. "I had to save him from the demons." Her words hang heavy, a chilling blend of love and obsession that freezes the moment. How does a mother's heart, so full of devotion, lead to such a devastating end? And what drove Rhonda to believe she was on a divine mission? For over 2 weeks, Ra'myl's absence went unnoticed, a silence that now screams for answers. Posts on X swirl with shock. Some call it a faith gone wrong. Others a tragic oversight, X sentiment inconclusive. But the truth remains buried in Rhonda's mind. Welcome to Storyroom by Rico. Subscribe and hit the bell. Share where you're watching from in the comments. To unravel this heartbreaking tale, we step back to where it all began. A story of a boy who lit up the world and a mother who would do anything to protect him. Ra'myl Pierre is a spark of joy. At Samuel S. Gaines Academy, his laughter bounces off the colorful classroom walls, a sound that lifts everyone's spirits. It's May 2025, and Ra'myl, just 6 years old, loves superheroes, dinosaurs, and his favorite blue blanket, which he drags around like a cape, his small hands gripping it tight. Teachers, like Ms. Elena Carter, 45, with tired green eyes, describe him as a kid who lights up the room, always quick with a grin or a curious question about T-Rexes. He'd raise his hand every day, Ms. Carter recalls, her hands holding one of his drawings, a scribbled Spider-Man swinging through the sky. His classmates adore him, chasing him at recess, their voices a chorus of giggles. But home on Bedford Drive, the picture shifts. Rhonda Joyce Paulynice, Ra'myl's single mother, pours every ounce of her love into her son. She's 41, a woman of deep faith, known among neighbors for her quiet demeanor and fierce devotion to Ra'myl. Tanya Rivera, 38, a neighbor with warm brown eyes, often sees Rhonda holding Ra'myl's hand as they walk to the corner store, her voice soft but firm. She talks about how he was her miracle, Tanya says, her hands nervously clutching a coffee mug. But lately, something's changed. Tanya notices Rhonda pacing her yard at odd hours, muttering to herself under the streetlights, her eyes fixed on something unseen. Flashback, January 2025. It's a chilly evening, and Tanya overhears a heated argument from Rhonda's house. "You don't understand." Rhonda's voice cuts through the night, sharp and desperate, her silhouette framed in the window. A man, perhaps a cousin, perhaps a friend, storms out, slamming the door. "You're losing it, Rhonda!" he shouts, his car tires screeching as he drives off. Tanya peeks through her curtains, shrugging it off as a family spat. But this crack in Rhonda's world hints at a storm brewing, a shift from love to something darker. Back in May, Ra'myl's teachers grow worried. He's been absent since May 14th, his desk empty, his laughter missing. At first, they assume he's sick, a common excuse in a town where colds spread fast. A week passes, then another. No calls, no notes from Rhonda. Ms. Carter confides in Officer Daniels, a school resource officer with a steady gaze. Something's not right, he tells her, his hands flipping through attendance records. R'myl's not the kind of kid who just disappears. On May 30th, Daniels pushes for a welfare check, his gut churning with a sense that time is slipping away. What Daniels doesn't know is that Rhonda's love has twisted into a divine obsession, a belief that will shatter their lives. But how did a mother's fierce devotion turn into this tragedy? To understand, we dive into Rhonda's world, where faith and fear collide in ways no one could foresee. Rhonda Joyce Paulynice is a woman of deep faith. Her small living room holds a worn Bible on the coffee table, its pages marked with years of prayer. To her, R'myl is a gift from God, a miracle she's vowed to shield from harm. But in the weeks leading up to May 2025, those closest to her sense a change. Tanya Rivera recalls a late-night chat in early May, her voice trembling. Rhonda kept talking about dark forces around R'myl, she says, her hands gesturing nervously. I thought she was just stressed, but her eyes, they were so intense like she was seeing ghosts. Flashback, May 10th, 2025. Rhonda sits at her kitchen table, the morning light filtering through cracked blinds. R'myl colors nearby, his crayon scattered. Mama, look, it's Spider-Man. He chirps, holding up a drawing, his small face beaming. Rhonda smiles, but her hands shake as she grips her coffee mug, the steam curling into the air. You're my angel, baby, she whispers, her voice heavy with something unspoken. She's been awake for hours, reading her Bible by candlelight, convinced she's hearing messages, whispers from above. God's telling me to keep you safe, she tells R'myl, stroking his hair as he giggles, unaware of the weight in her words. By mid-May, Rhonda's behavior grows erratic. She stops answering calls from friends, misses church services, and avoids the neighbors' friendly waves. On May 17th, paramedics arrive at her home for a medical issue. A collapse, they report, with Rhonda clutching her chest, muttering about saving her son. Tanya watches from her porch, her heart sinking. She looks scared, but determined, Tanya says. The paramedics leave, assuming it's stress, and no one checks on R'myl. Rhonda's obsession deepens. She believes demons are targeting her boy, threatening his soul with every shadow and flicker. She sees signs everywhere, a creak in the floorboards, a glint in R'myl's eyes. God's testing me, she tells herself, her heart pounding with a purpose that consumes her. She loves R'myl so much she'd sacrifice anything to save him, even if it means defying the world's logic. This belief, this desperate love, sets the stage for a moment we'll uncover soon. Subscribe now, because what happens next will leave you questioning the boundaries of faith and madness. It's 10 a.m. on May 30th, 2025, and Officer Daniels knocks on Rhonda's door, the morning sun casting long shadows across Bedford Drive. She answers, sunglasses perched on her nose, a faint smile playing on her lips as if hiding a secret.
Is Ra'myl okay?
Daniels asks, his voice steady but firm, his hands resting on his belt. Rhonda nods, her fingers fidgeting with her hoodie. He's fine, just resting. But her eyes betray her, darting toward the hallway where shadows linger. Daniels insists on seeing the boy, his gut tightening. Rhonda hesitates, then leads him inside, her footsteps echoing in the dim, cluttered house. The air grows heavy as they reach R'myl's bedroom. Daniel's heart stops. There, on the bed, lies R'myl, wrapped in his blue blanket, his small face pale and still, the faint smell of decay seeping into the room. Daniels radios for backup, his voice tight with shock. We've got a situation here. Send the team now. Rhonda stands nearby, her expression shifting from calm to frantic. God told me to do it, she says, her voice rising with a mix of reverence and despair. I had to save him from the demons. Flashback, May 18th, 2025. It's late at night, the house dark except for a flickering candle. Rhonda kneels beside R'myl's bed, his small form curled under the blanket. He's asleep, breathing softly, unaware of the storm in his mother's mind. She prays fervently, tears streaming down her face, her hands clasped tight. "Lord, show me the way," she whispers, her voice breaking. In her mind, a voice answers, clear, commanding. "Free him," it says. Rhonda's hands tremble as she places them over Ra'myl's mouth, her heart shattering with every sob he lets out. "I'm saving you, baby," she murmurs as he struggles, then goes still. She believes he'll rise again, purified, a soul cleansed by her love. Days pass, and she waits, checking his body daily, blowing warm air on his face, convinced he'll wake. Back on May 30th, deputies swarm the house, their boots thumping on the floorboards. Rhonda's arrested, her words a jumble of divine visions and love for her son. "I did it for him," she tells investigators, her voice cracking with emotion. "I thought he'd come back." The autopsy, conducted on May 31st, confirms Ra'myl's been gone for nearly 2 weeks, his passing a result of Rhonda's desperate act. The community reels, teachers at Samuel S. Gaines Academy weep, setting up a memorial with drawings and toys. Parents hug their kids tighter, their eyes filled with fear and sorrow. Sheriff Richard Del Toro speaks at a press conference, his voice heavy. "This boy was loved. This is a tragedy we'll never forget. But how did no one see the signs? And what does this say about the line between love and delusion?" To answer that, we look at the aftermath, a town grappling with grief and unanswered questions. If you're still watching, you need to subscribe. Fort Pierce is a town of tight-knit families, where kids like R'myl are everyone's kids. In June 2025, the community gathers at Samuel S. Gaines Academy, laying flowers, stuffed dinosaurs, and handwritten notes at a makeshift memorial under the school's oak tree. Miss Carter, her green eyes wet, speaks through tears. "He'd run up to me every morning, showing off his drawings. How did we miss this?" she asks, her hands clutching a crayon sketch of Spider-Man. Parents demand answers, their voices rising at town hall meetings. "Why did it take over 2 weeks to notice R'myl's absence?" a father shouts, his hands clenched. "Could someone have stepped in sooner?" The school district reviews its policies, promising better communication with families. But for many, it's a bitter pill. Change comes too late for R'myl. Rhonda sits in St. Lucie County Jail, awaiting her August 2025 trial. Her public defender, a wiry man with a soft voice, argues she's not a monster, but a woman lost in her own mind, driven by a love so intense it blinded her to reality. She believes she was saving him, he tells reporters, his hands gesturing earnestly. Prosecutors, led by a stern district attorney, paint a different picture. A mother who failed her son in the most devastating way, her actions a betrayal of trust. Evidence mounts. Rhonda's erratic behavior, the paramedic call, her own confession. Her trial looms, promising revelations about her mental state. A puzzle we'll piece together soon that will leave you stunned. Beyond the courtroom, Fort Pierce wrestles with bigger questions. How does faith become obsession? How do we protect kids when love turns dangerous? Tanya Rivera, watching from her porch, muses, "I saw her love, but I didn't see the danger." A 2025 community initiative, R'myl's Watch, launches, training neighbors to spot signs of distress in families, a ripple of hope from a boy's loss. Posts on X reflect the divide. Some see Rhonda as a broken soul, others as negligent, X sentiment inconclusive. But the town unites in grief. These threads tie R'myl's story to all of us, pulling at our hearts and urging us to look closer at the ones we love. Ra'myl Pierre's laughter no longer fills the halls of Samuel S. Gaines Academy. His blue blanket, once a symbol of comfort, now rests in evidence, a poignant reminder of a love that went tragically wrong. Rhonda Joyce Paulynice loved her son with every fiber of her being. Her sacrifice, twisted by delusion, cost R'myl his life, a loss that shakes us to our core, a wound that lingers in Fort Pierce's warm air. Yet, Ra'myl's spirit endures. His classmates draw pictures of superheroes in his honor, taping them to his old desk, their crayons a tribute to his joy. Ms. Carter leads a weekly Ra'myl story time, reading books he loved, her voice steady with purpose. Teachers vow to watch their students closer, to never let another child slip through the cracks. The Ra'myls watch. Initiative grows, with volunteers like Tanya patrolling the neighborhood, their eyes sharp for trouble. And we, watching this story unfold, face a challenge: to hold our loved ones tight, to question where faith ends and danger begins, and to remember a little boy who deserved so much more. Ra'myl's light shines in the hearts of those who knew him, a beacon of innocence lost. His story asks us to reflect. What would we do for love? How far we go? And in the quiet moments when we think of Ra'myl, let's promise to keep his memory alive by protecting the ones we hold dear. What do you think? Could this have been prevented? Share your thoughts below. Like and subscribe for more true crime stories. And check our playlist for the Idaho murders to dive deeper. Let's honor Ra'myl by learning from his tragedy.